everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commanders Core studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, the moment that you've been all waiting for all of spoiler season, that's right, the Golden Pig Awards, where I tell you what my favorite commanders are from the set and from the precons for one reason or another. With all that said, let's jump into them. First up, starting things off at number 10, we've got Betor, Ancestor's Voice from the Precons, a 3/5 Spirit Dragon with Flying and Lifelink for 5 mana in Abzan. At the beginning of your end step, put a number of counters on up to one other target creature you control equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. Return up to one target creature card with mana value less than or equal to the amount of life you lost this turn from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is a commander that does a lot of great, Abzan-centric things. Obviously, it's an Abzan commander. Being able to focus on counters, being able to focus on life gain, and also life loss, you can do a lot of exciting things. I mean, even a very simple spell, and I love when commanders can just utilize simple spells for big ways, like Congregate, can do massive amounts of things for a commander like this. An instant for 4 mana in total. Target player gains 2 life for each creature on the battlefield. That is massive. That is huge. And of course, this is an 8-cent card that you could take advantage of in a format like Commander, where you've got a lot of opponents and they've got a lot of creatures, and so do you. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh, okay, I gained, 30 life this turn. Cool, let's get 30 counters on that one other creature over there, and it's going to hit incredibly hard, of course. Or a card like, Revenge. Double your life total. Target opponent loses half their life, rounded up. Being able to double your own life total, obviously, in a commander deck where you are already about gaining a lot of life, you can go to an absurd amount. I mean, I'm talking like, you just gained 60 life this turn, and yes, doubling your life total does count as life gain. Cool, put 60 counters on a creature and make that thing hit incredibly hard. Of course, if you've got a creature that's got lifelink, it's a really easy way to build things up again and again and again. But on top of all the life gain, I love that with this commander you can take advantage of life loss with things like Mischievous Poltergeist, a 1/1 spirit that's got fly and pay 1 regenerate. So essentially being able to say, you know what, with this creature, I'm going to be able to just take my life total down to whatever I need it to be taken down to. So again, in my end step, I'm at, an absurd amount of life because I got all these life gain effects. But then, I got this creature in my graveyard that I want to reanimate. So, sure, I mean, that costs, 5 mana, whatever it is. I'll pay 5 life all of a sudden, and I'm down, and I'm willing to pay that 5 life so I can reanimate that creature, or whatever amount it ends up being. You're going to have the life that allows you to do that. And kind of with this life control effect, you can also take advantage of life swapping effects like Soul Conduit. An artifact for 6, pay 6 tap, 2 target players exchange life totals. So again, you can basically go, okay, you know what? I'm going to lose an absurd amount of life. I'm going all the way down from 40 down to just 1. And because I did that, I can reanimate whatever I want on my graveyard. Of course, number 1. Number 2, I can swap with an opponent to take their life total. They take mine. They're down to nearly nothing. And I just swapped, making me gain. Yes, that does count as gaining all the way up back to, again, say 40 if that opponent had 40. So it's a game-changing play, one that can definitely win you the game, and one that can, again, play into what this commander already wants to do. So again, a commander that does all the Abzan things, again, counters, life gain, life loss, cares about all those things. You can do a lot of exciting things with this one. That's why Betor is on my list for the Golden Pig Awards, again, at number 10. Next up, moving on to number 9, we've got Tersa Light Shatter, a 3/3 Orc Wizard with haste for 3 mana in red. When it enters, discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. So some nice, card selection here, essentially, and being able to choose whatever you need, that's quite nice. On top of that, though, whenever it attacks, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, exile a card at random from your graveyard. You may play that card this turn. That is so incredibly spicy, and I love the randomness of this commander. I love that this commander can be, again, a commander that just says, oh, by the way, this is happening now. It can be a commander that says, oh, by the way, this massive thing comes out as quickly as, say, turn 3, even, if you've got the right opening hand. Or you can just like, oh, okay, I hit this land. Well, that's fun. Cool, too. I get to play this random land. Awesome. So, yeah, it can be a commander that, again, can make so many miscellaneous things happen. It is such a very, very unique commander that is unlike anything else that we've seen, well, in this set and a lot of other sets recently, too. And there's a lot of exciting things you can do this in a mono-red deck that, again, does seem mono-red, but it utilizes a lot of things that aren't all that mono-red, like, since when do you care about milling in mono red? Perpetual Timepiece, artifact for 2, tap, basically mill 2, pay 2, and you can exile it and shuffle any number of target cards from your graveyard in your library. So again, on top of, again, rummaging effects, on top of looting effects, on top of wheel effects, milling obviously is a great way to get things into your graveyard because you want to get to that 7 as quickly as possible. And of course, with this one specifically, you can curate your graveyard once you get things set up properly where you say, oh, okay, well, I'm at, well more than 7 right now. You know what, maybe let's get rid of some of these smaller cards. Let's get rid of some of the lands, put those back into my library so that essentially when I attack with my commander, I am more than likely to hit something absolutely massive. And of course, when it comes to attacking with my commander, I might be able to do that multiple times in a turn because I'm in red. Extra combats exist. Next up, though, of course, Magus to the Wheel. Again, a great way to get you there for a budget card like this one. 3/3 Human Wizard, pay 2 in total and tap, sacrifice it. Each player discards their hand, draw 7 cards. This, all the other wheels, rummaging effects, looting effects can be a great way for you to dig down into your deck, get to those cards that you want, and again, get those cards into your graveyard that you want, of course, as well. When it comes to that, too, Conjurer's Closet, finally a budget-friendly card for the most part. Again, $1.13. I never thought I'd see the day. Artifact for 5. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature you control to return that card to the battlefield under your control. Being able to blink our commander again allows us to keep rummaging again and again and again, and it can give us so much extra value throughout the game. So yeah, although there's only so many blink effects in red, this is a good way to take advantage of it and essentially just, again, get more things in the graveyard that you want there and dig down into your deck. And of course, Key to the City, an amazing card for this commander. Artifact for 2, tap, discard a card, which again, would be a downside for most decks, but for this commander, it's like, oh, you know what, this big massive card, this giant card that I don't want to cast, but I want my commander to help me miscellaneously cast for free out of my graveyard. Let's discard that, get that into our graveyard, and while we do that, up to 1 target creature can be blocked this turn, making our commander unblockable. Obviously is a very good thing because our commander, well, doesn't have any evasion, so being able to save it can be great. On top of that, when this comes untapped, you can pay 2. If you do, draw a card. So being able to, again, have that kind of delayed rummaging effect can be great for us. So yeah, Tersa Light Shatter goes about things in a very unique, interesting way. I love the design of it. I love the random, chaotic nature of it. That, yeah, feels pretty fair and feels pretty interesting. And again, every kind of game can be very different. And you can utilize a lot of cards in red, again, like some mill cards that you typically aren't going to be using. So yeah, Tersa Light Shatter, congratulations on your 9th place finish. Moving on, we've got 8th place with Narset, Jeskai, Wavemaster. Now, this commander is one that takes things in a different way, goes about it in a different approach, and essentially turns the game on its head in a way for one of your major strategies in Commander. Let's talk about it. A 3/4 Human Monk for 3 mana in Jeskai. Beginning of your end step, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of spells you've cast this turn. So typically in Commander, one of the goals is, all right, I'm just going to draw a ton of cards and hold on to those cards. This Commander says, well, you know what? Let's not hold on to our hand at the end of the turn potentially. Let's actually just say, you know what? Let's replace our hand. Let's cast a ton of spells, or even just a couple of spells, and all of a sudden not really care about having a hand until we draw back into more cards. So with this kind of a commander, you can do some really cool things and take advantage of some cards that really don't see any play at all. And I love commanders that let you do that. Now, one of those cards is not Frantic Search. Frantic Search is a good amount of play, but it's just a great card to bring up for this commander. An instant for 3 mana in total. Draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, untap up to 3 lands. Basically, this is a free spell. And when it comes to this commander, free spells that give you value. Again, this is basically loot 2 for free, or maybe even more, actually. You can get extra mana out of it if you've got lands that tap for more than 1, essentially, like a bounce land. Yeah, this is basically a free card, though. So again, it counts to that storm count for your commander, essentially, that builds into more cards that you're going to be drawing on that end step. Speaking of that, Thought Reflection, a great commander for this, or Teferi's Latest Insight, or other ways like Alhambrit's Archive to double up draw. Champ for 7 mana in total. You draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. So again, basically doubles up the number of spells that are counted essentially on your turn. Essentially says, hey, you know what? You cast a good amount. Let's double that up. So if you cast 3 spells on your turn, now you're drawing 6, basically getting a new fresh hand. Speaking of which, Curse of Obsession. Since we don't care about our hand anyways, we can take advantage of something amazing like this. An Aura Curse for 5 mana enchant player. Typically, with enchantments with curses, you're not going to be enchanting yourself, but with this one you are. Because at the beginning of enchanted players, draw a step, the player draws 2 additional cards. That's nice. Beginning of their end step, they discard their hand. So again, you stack the triggers in a way where, sure, you discard your hand because you're going to do that anyways, so do it with this. Discard with Narset, and then, just draw back in. So again, instead of being handless, instead of not having anything in the turn, Narset ensures that you do have cards. And again, this gives you 2 extra cards on the next upkeep anyways, too. Helm of Awakening, again, a card that can help out a lot of players, but it's going to help you the most for this kind of a commander. Artifact for 2 makes all spells 1 less to cast. Now, there's other cost reducers out there you can utilize as well, but this is a great one. It affects all spells. Being able to just reduce the cost of your spells makes it so that obviously you can cast more and more and more of them in a turn, and giving Narset more things to take advantage of throughout the game. So being able to cast more and more spells on your turn makes it so that you're drawing in even more cards, and you can take advantage of those card draws in, again, a lot of exciting ways. So a commander that benefits you from whenever you're utilizing some discard benefits, some draw benefits, and again, it lets you utilize those really weird off-the-wall cards that are like, hey, you're handless, and you're like, yeah, I don't care. It's a really cool commander, and again, congratulations, Narset, on finishing 8th place. Next up, at 7th place, we've got Teval, the Balance Scale. Yet another exciting precon commander. A 4/4 Spirit Dragon with flying for 4 mana in Sultai. Whenever it attacks, mill 3 cards. Then you may return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 Black Zombie Druid creature token. So, first up, this is a commander that can take advantage of things like, well, lands. Milling them into your graveyard and getting them back out, but especially lands like Evolving Wilds, those fetch land type cards, because once you get one of those into your graveyard, all of a sudden, you've got free land drops throughout the game from your commander, which is amazing because you just crack it, do it again, crack it, do it again, crack it, do it again. It is a great way to just ensure that you're hitting land drops, to make sure that you're ramping with this, and that you're taking advantage of that second part. And there's plenty of ways to take advantage of that second part, making you a massive army. Again, it is limited in some way, again, 1 or more, but if you've got effects that allow you to individually take out cards, including one of my favorite designs of all time, yeah, you can make a massive army in absolutely no time. Titan's Nest is that card. I have been waiting for a commander that can really take advantage of this one, and if you're playing this commander, you better be playing this card. Enchant for 4 mana in Sultai. Beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You can put that card in your graveyard. Basically, Surveil 1. Exile a card from your graveyard. Add colorless. Spell manually cast a color spell without X at its mana cost. This is an absurd card for this commander. Again, with this commander, you want to fill your graveyard a ton. And you want to individually take cards out of your graveyard so that your commander can make you those zombie druids. And essentially with this, you're just like, oh, okay, whenever I want to, for free, I can just get rid of something out of my graveyard. So I can trigger my commander so I can make a 2/2. Literally whenever you want to. You don't even have to spend that mana, obviously. Mana burn is no longer a thing. So essentially you can just go, oh, okay, I don't really care. I'll just get rid of a card out of nowhere. You know, another card, another card, another card, another card, another card. Make a massive army right before my turn. And all of a sudden I'm taking over the game. Or, yeah, I mean, on your turn, be like, yeah, I mean, I'll utilize this mana, or not on your turn, use it for instant spells and stuff like that. But being able to essentially spend that mana, sure, on everything without an X cost, you're fine with that. But yeah, more importantly, just being able to freely make 2/2s throughout the game. This is a huge card for you. Golgari Grave Troll. This is a great card for this kind of a commander as well. 0/0 Troll Skeleton for 5 mana. Enters the battlefield, a counter on a free creature card in your graveyard, which again can be a good amount. That being said, pay 1, remove a counter from it, and regenerate it. But most importantly, Dredge 6. Yeah, Dredge cards can be great. Instead of drawing a card, you basically replace that draw, bringing this back to your hand, and you mill 6 cards. So you can just keep getting more and more cards in your graveyard. And of course, this can keep coming out of your graveyard, so you are able to essentially, well, keep triggering your commander with that as well. So yeah, a lot of great ways to mill yourself and a lot of great ways to trigger it. Speaking of which, Tormod the Desecrator, yet another kind of trigger that would love to work well with this commander. Whenever one of our cards leave your graveyard, create tap 2/2 Black Zombie creature token. So yeah, this is basically kind of the OG Teval in that way. That being said, yeah, Titan's Nest works great with this commander as well. Being able to essentially now double up your zombie token production, you can do a lot of exciting things. And of course, there's some zombie synergies you can utilize too. Or you can just utilize synergies of, well, hey, make as many creature tokens as you can in various ways. Insidious Roots, enchantment for 2 mana in Golgari. Creature tokens you control have tap add 1 mana of any color. Gross, being able to tap for an absurd amount of mana with all your zombie tokens. On top of that, though, whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 0/1 green plant creature token. They put a counter on each plant you control. So essentially, you're going wide, you're going tall, you're doing a lot of exciting things with this one. Chalk Outline, yet another way to take advantage of those creatures leaving your graveyard. Whenever one or more does, you create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token, then you investigate, again making a clue, so some card advantage there. There's a lot of exciting ways to take advantage of getting things in your graveyard, and of course, like this commander, taking things out of your graveyard. So a commander that is all about, those things going here, there, and everywhere, taking them in, taking them out, and all of a sudden being able to just make a massive army with so much value, all while ramping. Yeah, there's a lot to love about Teval. Congratulations, Teval, again on your 7th place finish. Next up, let's move on to Felothar, Dawn of the Abzan. 6th place finish for this one, a 3/3 human warrior with trample for 3 mana in Abzan. Whenever it enters or attacks, you may sacrifice a non-land permanent. When you do, put a counter on each creature you control. I love the design of this commander. Again, whereas our other Abzan commander we've talked about in this episode is all about, again, counters. Yes, check right there. All about the Abzan. That one's about life gain, life loss. This one is about sacrifice and just value. I absolutely love this design. On ETB or attack, you are getting value from this one by, losing something, which is so Abzan. It is so huge, being able to just persist and take out your opponents through attrition. So yes, being able to say, yeah, I'm okay giving up that thing, or actually I even want to sacrifice that thing for the greater good of Abzan, and being able to build up my team as I do so. So yeah, you can take advantage of a lot of exciting cards, including some grossly disgusting, amazing ones like Basking Brood Scale, a 2/2 Eldrazi lizard for 2 mana in green. It's got a void. Pay 2 mana essentially to adapt it. That being said, though, whenever one or more counters are put on Basking Brood Scale, you may create a 0/1 Eldrazi spawn creature token with sacrifice this creature, add a colorless. So basically with this, you are using those counters that you're putting on this to make even more tokens that you can then sacrifice with your commander if you need to put more counters on it, to make more tokens, put more counters, make more tokens. You can do a lot of exciting things with an approach like this, and of course there's even more ways to take advantage of it, like, Scurry Oak. Again, evolve. Whenever one or more counters are put on it, you may create a 1/1 squirrel. There's a lot of these different type of effects. Herd Baloth. Whenever one or more counters are put on it, you may create a 4/4 green beast creature token. So being able to, again, go wide at the same time as you are going tall, you can really take advantage of a commander like this in various ways. And of course, there's other creatures that care about counters getting on them in different ways too, and different values. Dusk Legion Duelist, a 2/2 with lifelink. Whenever one or more counters are put on it, draw a card. Triggers only once each turn. Again, each turn. So with each trip on the table, if you've got some maybe say blink effects for your commander, you can take advantage of this and draw 4 cards. Can be a lot of value for you, all while building this up into a really heavy hitter that again can stay back on defense as well. Or how about Evolution Witness? This one can adapt to for 2 mana. Whenever one or more counters are put on it, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So get a lot of extra value there, and it can get you back some things that you're actually sacrificing and that you actually even want to sacrifice that give you value when you do so. And of course, all while you're doing this, you've got ways to take advantage of those counters, maybe even getting more than with something like Corpse Jack Menace. One or more counters put on a creature you control, twice how many of those counters are put on instead. Being able to double those up can make your army absolutely massive in absolutely no time. You can do a lot of really exciting things with this commander, and again, take advantage of some cards that normally you won't be able to take advantage of in those ways. And you can say the downside is the upside. I am taking so much value out of this board state, all while building up these tiny little creatures into something completely massive that just takes over the game. I love this design. Congratulations on your 6th place finish. Next up, though, some deja vu, because in 5th place we also have Felothar, but this time Felothar the Steadfast from the Precons, a 0/5 human warrior for 4 mana in Abzan. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, and creatures you control can attack as though they did a defender, but by paying 3, you tap, you sacrifice another creature. Draw cards equal to sacrifice creature's toughness. Discard cards equal to its power. Now, this commander is the whole, you know what, let's take all the walls and swing with the walls type commander. And that can definitely be the way that you build it. Absolutely aggressive, getting a lot of low-the-ground walls out there that have an absurd amount of toughness and swinging through. That being said, the way that I envision building around this one might be just a little bit different because that is an absurd draw effect. I mean, there are walls out there that have so much toughness and cost absolutely nothing to get into play, and when you sacrifice them, you get to draw a ton of cards, and you are in a color combination that can really take advantage of that because, well, this is a tap ability, and you've got access to a lot of cheap and amazing untap effects, like, say, Vitalize. Just a single green mana for this gem, untap all creatures you control. So by paying that single green mana, you're able to untap your entire team, including your commander, so that you can, well, do it again. Sacrifice another really tough creature, draw a ton of cards again, and draw into something like, say, 2 arms. Untap all creatures you control, draw a card on top of that for just 2 mana. So you're able to just keep doing this again and again and again. And of course, you got regrowth. So our cards like this that can just bring back another card. Source for 2 mana in green. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Bringing back again a card that you need, like, say, Vitalize, 2 arms, whatever you need to do. Untap your team again. And of course, your team can just keep this going. Because we've got access to amazing cards like Sentinel Hero Fence. Creatures you control have tapped for a green. So now making every single one of our creatures into a mana dork, we are able to tap those. And then with those untap effects, untap all of them, including our commander with the amazing ability to do it again. Play another cheap creature that's got a ton of toughness. Get it in play, sacrifice it, draw a ton of cards. Untap them, tap for mana, untap them, untap them. You can see where this is going. Caravenger's Acolyte. This will get tapped amount of green equal to devotion to green. So it can actually give you an absurd amount of mana. And of course, there are certain creatures out there that take advantage of just what we are doing with this deck. Being able to take advantage of different powers, different toughnesses, being able to say, you know what? I'm going to tap for a lot of mana based on power. I can tap for a lot of mana based on toughness with a new creature as well from this set too. And of course, again, when it comes to easy toughness, Wall of Junk. Cards like this, again, 7 toughness defender wall for just 2 mana in total. Sure, when you block it, bring it back to your hand out of combat, that's cool. That being said, what matters is, again, this is just cheap, amazing card draw for us with a commander like this. And then while you're drawing all these cards, you can utilize something like Psychosis Crawler. Yeah, this is quite the fun one. Power toughness each equal to number of cards in your hand. Whenever you draw a card, it drains each opponent 1. So again, this is the type of commander that, yeah, you can go, get the walls out, attack with the walls, and that is very exciting, absolutely. But you can also take advantage of it in a different way. A way where you're like, oh yeah, mana dorks plus untap plus giant walls equals, in a weird way, like Abzan Toughness Storm. In a way, you can do some really crazy things that might be pretty unexpected. And yeah, congratulations, Felothar the Steadfast, on your 5th place finish. Next up, well, not only did Felothar double up on this episode, but so did Betor. Betor akin to all, finishing at 4th place, a 5/7 Spirit Dragon with flying for 5 mana and Abzan. Beginning of your end step, if creatures you control have total toughness 10 or greater, draw a card. Then if creatures you control have total toughness 20 or greater, untap each creature you control. Then if creatures you control have total toughness 40 or greater, each opponent loses half their life, rounded up. Now, this is the type of commander that I like to call a mini-game type commander, because the game is happening, yes, but all the time you're kind of playing this little mini-game where your goal is potentially different than your opponent's. Your goal is to get your creatures to have a total toughness of 40 or greater. It's nice when you're at 10. Drawing cards, great. Untap your creatures, you can take advantage of a lot of exciting things with that too. That being said, forcing your opponents to lose half their life, you can do a lot of exciting things with that. And of course, with that, again, you can turn that into the end game for the deck. A card like Warlock Class. I love this little gem for just 16 cents. At the beginning of your end step, essentially, if a creature died this turn, your opponent loses 1. Level 2 becomes level 2. Look at the top 3. 1 goes in your hand, the rest in your graveyard. Level 3, though, most importantly, beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life, the life they lost this turn. So basically, you win the game. If your commander says, you know what, you got to that 40 toughness, and you've got this in play, and you're at level 3, your opponents lose the game. They lose half their life, then they lose the other half, and they are gone. So, of course, with this kind of a commander, you can take advantage of cards like Bedrock Tortoise. As long as it's your turn creature control of Hexproof, yeah, you're going to be protecting your creatures on your turn. You're going to be keeping them around. And also, again, the whole toughness, assigning versus power, that's great. 0/6 for 4 mana. There's a lot, again, great creatures out there like this one that are utility focused, that also give you a lot of toughness to help you get there to that 40. And on top of that, of course, speaking of utility, Axebane Guardian, a 0/3 with Defender, can tap for X mana in any combination of colors to your mana pool or X of creature control with Defender. So being able to essentially tap for a lot of mana, that's great. And of course, with our commander, once we get to that 20 toughness, which is not hard for us to get to, untap this essentially at your end step so you can utilize it again on your opponent's turns as well. And when it comes to, well, taking advantage of toughness and being able to really kind of surprise get there with your opponents, cards like Tower Defense are incredibly efficient in. So for just 2 mana in green, creature control get +0/+5 and gain reach until end of turn. The reach is nice, but most importantly, again, basically you can say, oh, well, I'm almost to 40, or even if you're not almost to 40, if you've got like 4 creatures and you're at 20, all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, add an extra 20 toughness to my entire team and get me to that 40 so I can drain my opponents. Again, this is basically like a 2 mana cheat code to drain your opponent's life totals by a ton and maybe even end the game. Unnatural Growth, another way to double things up too. Beginning of each combat, double power, double toughness. So again, you've got these cheat code ways to get there quicker if you need to, which is great. And again, this is the kind of commander that can take advantage of off-the-wall creatures that normally you wouldn't be able to take advantage of in this color combination. Viscera the Dreadful. This is a 5/5 Gorgon with flying for 6 mana. Tap destroy target creature can't be regenerated. So while all this is going on, you're like, oh, okay, by the way, yeah, destroy that creature. Yeah, I'm at 20 toughness on my end step. Let's untap this. So each turn, essentially, each trip around the table, you're taking out 2 creatures while you're doing so. So you can throw some chaos, throw your opponents off the scent of your trail of, yeah, the name of the game is get to 40 total toughness, and all of a sudden, my opponents are going to be at 0 life. So yeah, this is a commander where you can go about and things in a lot of different ways. And again, I like the kind of mini-game-esque, quality of this commander. Get to that 40, take your opponents out unexpectedly, and have fun. Congratulations, Betor, to all on your 4th place finish. Moving on, though, at 3rd place, we got Kotis the Fangkeeper, a 2/1 zombie warrior with indestructible 4 mana in Sultai. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile the tap X cards to your library or X the amount of damage dealt. You may cast any of your spells of mana value X less from among them without paying their mana cost. So this is a commander that, of course, is near and dear to my heart because, well, I'm one of those players that has built multiple Villainous Wealth decks throughout the years. It also is kind of in a JoJo pose. Any other JoJo fans out there? No? Okay, anyways. So this is a commander that, yes, is all about, hey, you know what? Let's get through with an appropriate amount of damage. Not too much, because if I hit that opponent a bit too hard and take them out, well, I don't get those cards, and I don't get to keep anything I've kept so far from them. So let's hit them a good amount, steal some of their things, steal many of their things, and then finish them off with their own cards. So it is Villainous Wealth again on a hit. I absolutely love that. And of course, there's plenty of ways to take advantage of that. I mean, very simply, very effectively, Black Ledger Forge. +1/+1 for each land you control equipped to a Ledger creature. You're in green, you're going to be getting a lot of lands, so all of a sudden, yeah, why not just utilize this to hit even harder? Essentially, again, every land you have in play is another card, potentially, that you're getting off the top of an opponent's library. Raised by Giants, though, a good kind of, way to get around, having to work to actually pump your commander. Just get this in play. 6 mana enchantment. Commander creatures you own have base power toughness 10/10 or giant such other types. Nice that it's a giant. What matters again is that power and toughness, and all of a sudden it's going to have our commander hitting for a ton. Of course, other cards like Fire Shrieker, yeah, group creature has double strike, hit once, cast those things, hit again, cast them again. Yeah, you're going to be hitting for a ton when it comes to doubling up the power. Again, do be careful, because this is the type of commander where, yeah, you want to take your opponents out, with commander damage at some point. If you do it too quickly, though, on certain opponents, again, you're not getting any value out of actually being able to keep their things. So do keep that in mind. That being said, you can also take advantage of Inquisitor's Flail. Equipped creature would deal combat damage, deals double that damage instead. Another creature deal damage to equipped creature, deals double that damage to equipped creature instead. Yeah, this is one where it's completely negated by our commander having indestructible. There's no downside to this at all. It's just all upside. And of course, it works with double strike as well. So essentially, yeah, we can very easily turn our commander to a one-shot KO when we combine those things when we want to. Also, Felix 5 boots. 5/4 Ruse Rogue. Almost said Ranger. Menace Ward 2. A creature you control dealing combat damage to a player cause a triggered by opponent you control to trigger. That ability triggers additional time. Again, doubling up on our Villainous Wealth. What is not to love about that? Plenty of great ways to get our commander through as well, like Prowler's Helm. Can't be blocked except by walls. So I guess unless you're playing against one of the defender decks, then yeah, I guess that's not going to help you too much. But there's going to be chances are that, at least one opponent is not all defender deck. Most of the time, no one's got defenders, so you're going to be good. Then there's Gonti Knight Minister. Whenever a player casts a spell they don't own, they get a treasure. Gross, amazing, lovely. You're going to be casting a ton of spells that you don't own, so you get to make an absurd amount of treasures with this. On top of that, whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponent's controller, looks at the top card of that opponent's library, exiles it face down. You can play as long as it remains exiled. Man, if any type can cast the spell this way. So sure, there's an extra little value for you or a little incentive for your opponents to get through each other, but most importantly, free treasures for you. If you already weren't winning the game with the Villainous Wealth, now you really are. So yeah, Kotis the Fanekeeper lets you take advantage of this really cool concept of taking your opponent's things and making them your own and just doing it in a big, flashy way. Kotis the Fanekeeper, congratulations on your 3rd place finish. Moving on to 2nd place, we've got Eshki Teamer's Roar, a 2/2 human warrior for 3 mana in Teamer. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put a counter on Eshki if that spell's power is 4 or greater. Draw a card. If it's 6 or greater, deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. So this is a commander where you can really take advantage of a lot of, really off-the-wall and strange cards in really weird ways, because that is exactly the kind of commander I like. I like that this commander is all about, hey, you know what? Cast some creature spells, but make sure they've got a ton of power, because when you do, I gain power, and I also dish out damage to opponents. And that might start small at first, but of course you can build that up quite quickly, and you can punish your opponents in some really exciting ways. Raised by Giants, I just brought this one up though, but yeah, again, just making your power, for your commander to be 10/10, you're able to essentially, just really speed things up in the process of dishing out a ton of damage to your opponents. Locks and Warhammer. This one helps out in a lot of different ways. Plus 3/0, trample lifelink. So essentially being able to plus power, of course, that's lovely. That's extra lightning bolt worth of damage to each opponent. Essentially, whenever you're casting those creature spells, trample, great. Your commander's going to get huge at some point, swing through, dish out damage. Lifelink, though, most importantly, again, your commander is the one dishing up that damage on the trigger. So essentially, again, let's say your commander's at, 10 power. You cast that creature spell at the 10 power, all of a sudden you're dishing out 10 damage per opponent. You just gained 30 life without even trying, just by having this on your commander. So pad your life total to oblivion. Absolutely lovely. You could also take advantage of something like Corrupted Conscience. I love this kind of a play. Enchanted creature, you control enchanted creature has infect. So typically with this, you'd steal an opponent's creature, but with this one, you're like, no. I attach this to my commander now is infect, and all of a sudden, it's a one-shot cast KO. Because, again, your commander, once you get to that 10 power, you cast one creature spell that meets the requirement, and yes, you are dishing out infect damage to your opponents through your commander. You can also take advantage of, again, a lot of exciting creatures that, usually you wouldn't be able to just play all in the same deck, but with this one you can. Tundra's Incinerator, a 6/6 elemental. It costs X less to cast for X the amount of non-combat damage dealt to opponents this turn. So normally this would cost 6. It's just going to cost you a single mana very easily. Trample whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent. Tundra's Incinerator deals that much damage to target creature, planeswalker that player controls. This does so much for you. It is absolutely amazing with this commander. And again, it's literally just a single mana. Dargo the Shipwrecker. This one, you can actually sacrifice any number of artifacts and or creatures to make it cost less. It's a 7/5 giant pirate with trample for just 7 mana, but you can make it down all the way to just 1 mana. So again, has that 6 power greater, meets that requirement, you can cast it for incredibly cheaply. And while you're sacrificing those things, again, because you can just get a lot of these things into play quite quickly, Gold Tree, so like this, a 10/10 zombie tree folk for 8 mana, but it costs 1 less cast for each creature card in your graveyard, so it can cost just a single mana again. Ancient Stone Idol. Call to a Flash Golem for 10 mana. 1 less cast for each tag creature trample. When it dies, you get a 6/12 with trample. This one, again, it doesn't matter if you're attacking, an opponent's attacking, whoever it is, you can flash this in for a lot cheaper, and again, trigger your commander for a lot less. Primeval Protector basically only ever will cost a single mana to cast. 10/10 Avatar for 11 mana in total. Will cost 1 less cast for each creature opponents control. Again, this is commander. Your opponent's going to have creatures. This is going to cost basically nothing. Enters battlefield, get a counter on each other creature control. So again, pumps them again. Galta, speaking of power, though. 12/12 Elder Dinosaur for 12 mana, but you just pass 2 for it basically all the time, just 2. The spell costs X less to cast for X the power of creatures you control, the total power, and it's got trample as well. Even Lumbering Mega Sloth, yeah, this is a thing. 8/8 Sloth Mutant for 12 mana in total, 1 less cast for each counter among permanents and or players. And on top of that, it's got trample, enters battlefield tapped. Who cares that it's slow? Who cares it's an 8/8? What we care about, again, it meets those requirements of our commander. So we are playing a lot of miscellaneously powerful creatures for a lot cheaper. And you know what? Let's replay them. Umbilicus, artifact for 4. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, they may pay 2 life. If they don't, they bounce a permanent they control back to its owner's hand. So again, a potential downside for opponents, potential upside for us. We're just gonna be like, oh yeah, that massive creature I just played last turn, let's bring it back to my hand, play it for cheap again, and all of a sudden get that trigger off my commander again, which can be game ending. Or how about Paradoxical Outcome again? Return any number of target non-land permanents, non-token permanents you control back to its owner's hand. Draw a card for each card, return your hand this way. So again, out of nowhere, bounce all these massive things, replay them. What kind of a commander out there is able to, benefit you from playing in this kind of a play style where you're just big creatures, reduced effects, throw them all into a deck and just say, let's play them again and again and again, and really take advantage of that trigger and dish out so much damage. Absolutely love the design of this one. Congratulations, Eshki, on your 2nd place finish. That being said, the moment that you've all been waiting for, the Golden Pig of Tarkir, we've got Teval, Arbiter of Virtue. Congratulations on your 1st place finish. A 6/6 Spirit Dragon with flying and lifelink for 5 mana in Sultai. Spells you cast have Delve. So again, each card you exile from your graveyard while casting it pays for 1. On top of that though, whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. So I love commanders that give you a massive, really cool payoff that changes the game, that also has a downside, but one that you can actually turn into an upside. Being able to cast massive spells by utilizing your graveyard as a resource, that is huge, but also, again, the cost of it. But is it a cost when you utilize things like, say, Exsanguinate, which is now a very budget-friendly card? Sorcery for X, black. Each opponent loses X life, you gain X life. Or, not even just X life, but the life equal off life slot plus this way. But being able to just say, you know what? I'm going to cast this for a ton of mana. I'm going to get a lot of things out of my graveyard. I'm going to put myself into the red zone, essentially, and I'm just going to be so low on life. But yeah, I'm going to drain my opponents for a ton and all of a sudden gain 3 times that much life. Yeah, there's a lot of great, exciting ways that you can actually really take advantage of massive X spells like this one. Hydroid Crass is another way to take advantage of this too. A 0/0 Jellyfish Hydra Beast, because that's a thing. For X and Simic colors, whenever you cast a spell, you gain half X life and draw half X cards. Round out each time. Flying Trample, enters battlefield with X counters on it. This is a really big heavy hitter for you. And again, you can get back basically half the amount of life that you used that you delved into casting this, all while drawing a ton of cards. Or does it have to be an X spell too? Great Merchant of Asphodel, Gary, of course, a very good card. 2/4 zombie for 5 mana in total. Enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life for extra devotion of black. You gain life, your life lost this way. Again, basically you can just delve away that 3 mana if you need to. You lose 5 life, sure, that's fine, who cares? You're going to be gaining so much more than that when this ETBs. Also, take advantage of that life loss. You know what? I don't even want to actually have a good life total right now, because I want to cast Repay in Kind. A Sorcery for 7 mana in total, but again, can just cost 2 for you. Again, cheating on mana cost is definitely an amazing thing for this commander. Each player's life total becomes the lowest life total among players. Again, take advantage of going down in life. Make it so your opponents suffer with you. They're all going to be low with you, and all of a sudden you can finish them off again with one of your amazing, many ways to, drain your opponents, like Gary, that kind of thing as well, or just your flying evasive commander that has lifelink. Or how about Profane Transfusion? You know what? I'm okay going down in life as long as I can go back up in life as well. Source for 9 mana in total. 2 target players exchange life totals, and then you make a giant XX for the difference of those life totals. So again, take your own life total down to oblivion, and then just take advantage of your opponent's life total, swapping it. They're going to be taken out, and you're going to have a massive creature for you as well. Of course, there's a lot of great ways to get a lot of things in your graveyard as well with this kind of a commander and this kind of a deck. Cemetery Tampering, Hideaway 5, beginning of your upkeep, you can mill 3, which is quite nice. 20 more cards in your graveyard, you play the exile card for free, you're going to get there eventually. That being said, you just repeat mill 3. That's basically 3 extra free mana for you every single turn thanks to your commander. Forgotten Creation, this ain't another great one. Get your upkeep, you may discard all the cards in your hand if you do draw that many cards. Basically a free wheel on your upkeep. Yes, what's not love to love about that? Keening Stone, though, as well. If you start building things up in the graveyard, you can really stockpile it. Pay 5 tap, target player mills X cards, X the number of cards in their graveyard. So again, double things up again and again and again. Get a lot of things in there again and take advantage of that graveyard. Utilize it as a resource and utilize that life loss as a benefit again for you. Taking advantage of some really spicy cards. Overall, I love this design of this commander. I love the push and pull. Congratulations to Teval, Arbiter of Virtue, on your first place finish. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.